we are a small company. There's 12 people, so 11 Germans and 1 English guy. And we're based in Horn, which is a beautiful village just outside a city called Coburg, which is east of Frankfurt by 2.5 hours. It's a beautiful part of Bavaria. And if you're ever in that part of the world, I highly urge you to go there. It's stunning, great beer, good people, and you'll have a good time. So we try and rely on as little third-party involvement as humanly possible. So we have complete control over the designs, so the hardware designs, the software designs, everything's done by us. And it means that we can provide you the kind of customer service that we believe other electronic manufacturers can't provide you due to their size. So that's a little bit about the company. So we're aiming for large projects. Obviously, we could be used for smaller projects, but we're aiming for the big stuff. We're aiming for casinos. We're aiming for theme parks, cruises, theaters, hospitality, retail as well. And a lot of the big projects, everything, well, a lot of the audio visual side of it is housed in something similar to that. So nothing wrong with doing that. And to be honest with you, it's probably not going to change. But it is expensive to start up. It does take up a great deal of space. And it also takes up a great deal of energy. Up until this point, conventionally, we've used external amplifiers, external processors, and then software to amalgamate that into a cohesive system. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. But that does take up a great deal of space. It does take up a great deal of energy. And overall, it does cost a lot of money to get involved with. And then the running costs, you know, your customers, we all want to see a return on investment. And we wondered whether we could create a solution that would speed up that return on investment. It wouldn't be a bad thing. Okay? So Marcus and Stefan came up with a software and a hardware solution to work in tandem. And that's the Innosonix solution that we offer today. So from a hardware perspective, this is what we're best known for. And we've got 3 product ranges. So we'll start with the first one, is LP squared. So LP squared is LP, low powered. So it's available in 16, 24, and 32 channels. We are still the only manufacturer, to my knowledge, that is manufacturing a 24 and a 32 channel amplifier in a 1U. You'll notice that all of our amplifiers are going to take audio input via audio over IP. So that's Dante, AS67, and you're going to spot Maddie there as well. And this amplifier is providing you 50 watts a channel at 4 ohm, 30 watts at 8, and you can bridge it to have 100 watts at 8. This product's really used for immersive applications. It's used quite heavily in research and development from automotive sectors, so BMW, Mercedes, and Audi. And I think Porsche, probably Porsche as well. Why not? Let's add Porsche to that list. And then the second product that we've got is D squared. So D squared's our most popular product, to be honest with you, at this moment in time. It's still digital multi-channel amplifiers with a difference. So it's 16, 24, 32 channel variants in a 2U, but you'll see a little bit more power here. 280 watts at 4, 140 watts at 8. You can bridge it to 500 watts. So that's our multi-channel amplifiers with a difference. That's us redefining what a multi-channel amplifier is, I suppose. At the beginning of this year, we want to focus our attention on another form of amplification, and that's PoE. So this is Micromax, the MA04 PoE. And it is the most powerful PoE amplifier in the world. It'll provide you 120 watts at 4 and 8 ohm per channel, and you can bridge it to do 240 watts at 8. Now, those are all peak statistics, and they are based on you powering the unit from a PoE++ switcher injector, but it's completely rechanging the game with PoE. It's got extensive built-in DSP, so all of our amplifiers have, well, the rack mounts have FPGA-based DSP, and this one's got quite a spicy chipset in it as well. So you'll notice it's got one RG45 input, so that means it's taking input power, data, power control, and audio via one piece of RG45, which makes deploying it relatively simple. Stefan and Marcus love to find components, electronic components that are used in different sectors. Okay, so it's usually going to be consumables. But they came across GaN, gallium nitride transistors, back in 2020. And we've been using them ever since. Now, why have we been using them? Well, the power efficiency of these things is incredible compared to a silicon MOSFET. And it will mean that due to the fact that it's got increased thermal efficiency, we're able to make our heatsink smaller. So if we can make our heatsink smaller, we can, in theory, put more channels in a smaller space. But it doesn't affect the audio quality. It still sounds fantastic. So it's really the best of both worlds. And we've used that GaN technology for our PoE solution, as well as our rack mount solution, of course. So here's a little 3D model of what the PoE offering is looking inside. You can see 3/4 of it is storage, the way that it's storing energy. I don't really want to go into mass specifics with how it's doing everything, but needless to say, the amplifier is storing enough energy for you when you need it, and then replenishing that energy very quickly. So when you need it again, obviously depending on your audio playback and what you're running through the amplifier, you won't have any lulls in performance. So it is a different way of looking at things. We are very, very excited about the possibilities. So that's a little bit of the PoE. Now, the benefits of PoE. So up until this point from an audio solution, I humbly think that a PoE solution has been a bit of a compromise. Okay, it's something that you use because the situation dictates you have to use. You might not be able to run power in the room. You may not be able to have an active speaker, therefore, or you may not have room for rack mount solutions. So you get a PoE speaker of some nature and some description and just get the job done. But what we're saying with our PoE solution is you can use it for critical listening applications because you have a suitable amount of power and you have all the DSP built in. So why not embrace PoE? And that's what we're saying here, the benefits of the PoE solution. So, you know, you can take advantage of IT infrastructure and networking that have been done for years and years. So we talked about the hardware side of things, which is quite exciting, but we obviously offer a software solution as well, and it's in the form of IDFM, Maxx Control, and Maxx Remote. Now, IDFM and Maxx Control were the very beginnings of our infrastructure. They were the very first ideas we had. We're now concentrating on Maxx Remote, and that's really the jewel in the crown and something I'm going to show you in a bit after I take a couple of questions, whatever questions they may be. So IDFM and Maxx Control is going to be basically incorporated into Maxx Remote, and then Maxx Remote is going to be the final offering. It's going to be the whole ecosystem, a space that an integrator can use to network our devices together and have lots of tools within that software to tackle any problem he or she may have when deploying said loudspeakers. What I'm sharing with you now is Maxx Remote, and this is available to download off our website on Mac, PC, and Linux. I've dialed into it because you can dial into it as you know, as a web GUI, which is another nice thing. So what we're looking at here, again, as I said, is Maxx Remote. And I've got a PoE amplifier connected to it. And this is the main screen that you would find. Actually, let's go on the window. Yes, here we go. So if I wanted to add a device, I could add any of the devices on my network. So I could add, I could combine LP squares, D squares, and our PoE solution into one project. It doesn't matter. Obviously, once that's connected, I'm going to want to connect and create channels. Now, this is where you can have the offline editor, and an offline editor is obviously a vital thing because any time on site is limited. So you want to get everything sorted on back in the office, off site, and then when you're on site, you can quickly get everything connected and start tuning the system. And what I can do here is I can create limitless project channels. So these project channels are software channels. They're channels that don't have a hardware endpoint. Okay, so I've created left, right, and sub, but you can see that it's got no link. It's got no hardware channel. So any of the processing I could do, and if I go to my channels, my available channels, we'll see my left, right. So on every single channel, you have what you expect to see. So mute, volume, phase, delay. The delay is extensive, so you can delay up to 0.001. Oh, if my keyboard works, which is decided not to, there we go. 0.001 of a sample millisecond or meter. So I can delay up to the picometer. So the good thing about our product is it's completely over-engineered for the application at hand, which is a very German thing to do, I think. So that's the delay. EQ, you've got a 32-point EQ on every single output. And you've also got 520 tabs of FIR on the PoE solution on every single output and 2048 tabs of FIR on the output of every rack mount solution. So you have enough processing to do really whatever you need to do. We do have speaker presets as well that are available. So we are working with speaker manufacturers at this moment in time, which is a good thing. So once you've done the processing off-site, preferably, you can go to your link channels. And when you get on site, your hardware channels are going to appear. So any devices that you've got on the network will appear here. And it's a simple case of dragging and dropping my project channels into my hardware channels. And at this point, I'm going to be able to hear the output of these channels if I fed it with a source. Another nice thing, because we talked about this being a tool for integrators, I'm really bad at taking notes when it comes to pre-production. That's why I don't install loudspeakers professionally anymore, because I was very bad at making the notes. And what we've got here is the identify feature. So the idea being is once I click that, and I will have pink noise at -40 dB coming out of that output, and I can say whether I've connected the speaker to the right output. Nice features like that, which are really useful. So obviously now I've created, I've given those channels a output. How am I going to manage those channels? So I can create groups, and I can create a limited amount of, a limitless amount of groups. So let's just say that, let's call this a classroom, because you could use this in education if you wanted. And with the classroom, I can drag and drop the channels into the group, and I can drag and drop any channels from any device on the network. It doesn't have to be on my device. It can be on any device on the network, so any Innosonix device on the network. Obviously, once it's in a group, I can then amend and alter and do all kinds of processing to those speakers within the group. So say, for example, I had the same Renkers-Heinz speaker in that group. I could recall the preset and affect all of the channels in that group, and it could be hundreds of speakers. Okay, so once I've done that, then I want to talk about inputs. Now, you could use Dante Controller, which is great, but I find Dante Controller quite tedious when you've got lots of devices in the network. So what we've developed here is an input source. So if we look at this, I've created an input source for my Mac Mini, and I've said that it's using transmission channels 1 and 2, and I've said it's a stereo, but I could create a mono or a 5.1 or a 7.1 source. And then once I have that routed, the input of my group, and that input of my group, and I've got audio routed to, again, potentially hundreds of loudspeakers in the group. So that's the basic workflow of Maxx Remote. There's a few other things here. A question might come up about end user control, and there's some end user control here that I can alter, and I can add different objects to, and that will appear in my workspace. And it could be mute control for my groups. It could be volume control for my groups. Obviously, there are some existing control platforms out there that are very popular, like QSys. So we do have a QSys plugin for our devices as well. So you could take advantage of an Innosonix product in a QSys application. The final thing I want to show you is I want to show you the analyzer. Now, the analyzer feature is something that is currently only available for our rack mount units. So let me share a different tab for you. One moment, please. And it was about, Bill talked about this a little while ago with me, actually, about how you can dial into the amplifiers remotely, which you can do, and then how you could monitor the health of the loudspeaker connected to the output. And we do have something that will allow us to do that. So I'm dialing into an amplifier in Germany. And hopefully you can see this. One second. You should be able to see this. Pretty sure you can. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so we're looking at our amplifier in the R&D department in Coburg, and there we have it connected to, I believe it be a Coda D5, and we bridge that. What that's telling us is that's giving us a live feed, a live reading of the phase, impedance, and also the current and the voltage, and it's telling us if a speaker is connected or not. That is a very, very, very powerful tool. The reason it's a powerful tool is giving the integrator all the kind of information they could possibly need to not only tune and commission the system, but if you were dialing in remotely and say there was a problem with the system, you could diagnose that pretty quickly. So you wouldn't have to pay any money to go and visit. You could do it all remotely and then figure it out from that point on. This is going to be in Maxx Remote. As I said before, Maxx Control, which we're looking at the moment, is something that we will be cutting back on, and all of the excellent features in it will appear in Maxx Remote. So in theory, this feature will be available for our PoE solution. No, not in theory, it will be available for our PoE solution in a couple of months' time. We just need to implement it. So that's the kind of thing that we've got going on here. That's the kind of innovative hardware and software offerings that you can expect from Innosonix.